After Avengers Endgame, I think we can all say with confidence that getting rid of a character like Tony Stark was a big mistake by Marvel. Tony Stark was the face of the MCU and the character with the most fans, so Marvel losing quality after losing Tony Stark was inevitable. And because I am still upset that Tony Stark is no longer part of the Avengers, I decided to make a list of characters that could and should have snapped the Infinity Gauntlet instead of Tony Stark in Avengers Endgame. Let's dive right in. Captain America. Tony fans, please don't hate on me. I am just doing my job. I actually do have good reasons to put Steve Rogers on this list. Contrary to Tony Stark, Steve Rogers possesses exceptional physical abilities. These attributes could make him capable of withstanding the immense power of the Infinity Stones. In that same movie, Captain America proved that. He was able to lift both Mjolnir and Stormbreaker, weapons that were literally made for gods like Thor. So, if Tony was able to make the snap, there's no way you can say that Steve Rogers couldn't. I truly believe that he would be able to snap the gauntlet and survive. Entrusting him with the Infinity Stones would also align with his character's unwavering commitment to protecting humanity and preserving life. And besides all that, Captain America was the leader of the Avengers. The leader should be the first to sacrifice himself for his team. Even if some people disagree with Steve Rogers being on this list, in my opinion, he totally deserves to be here. I am not saying it would be my first choice, but he was definitely a great option, and more importantly, a better option. But I get it, Steve wanted to have his moments with Peggy. You can't blame him. Black Panther. T'Challa possesses enhanced strength, agility, and reflexes due to consuming the heart-shaped herb. These abilities would provide him with the physical resilience necessary to deal with the immense power of the Infinity Stones without being overwhelmed. And more importantly, Wakanda is renowned for its advanced technology, including vibranium-based equipment and weaponry. T'Challa access to Wakandan resources could have enabled him to create specialized equipment or protective gear to enhance his ability to handle the Infinity Stones safely. Although Tony's armor was able to lessen the pain and damage caused to him, his technology and armor don't even compare to Wakanda's. So if Tony did it, the Black Panther should be able to do it and without losing his life. Thor. I wasn't sure if I should put Thor on this list, because Thor was a bit lost in the beginning of the movie, but I honestly think that he recovered his mental health before the final fight against Thanos. So yes, I do think that Thor deserves to be on the list. And also, I am still upset about Tony's death, so I think if Thor snapped instead of Tony, he would have survived, and today Tony Stark would be alive too. So both would be alive. The fact that Thor is a god and Tony just a simple human, no more reasons are needed to choose Thor to snap the Infinity Gauntlet instead of Tony. Thor literally survived the power of a neutron star. There is no way he wouldn't survive the snap. Thor literally counterattacked the power of 6 Infinity Stones, and won with ease. His experiences with powerful forces have prepared him to handle the immense energies emitted by the stones. So who in his perfect mind wouldn't choose Thor instead of Tony to use the Infinity Gauntlet? Little reminder that Thor was the first choice to snap the gauntlet in the beginning of the movie, because he was obviously the most powerful. But they ended up choosing Hulk because Thor at the time was completely struggling with his personal challenges and doubts about his own worthiness. But like I said, he was a different Thor when the final battle started. Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is actually a special case, because in the final battle against Thanos, Doctor Strange didn't face Thanos once. Since Doctor Strange knew what was going to happen, he had an excuse to not snap the Infinity Gauntlet. Maybe the future he saw, the victory of the Avengers only could have happened if Tony Stark was the one snapping the gauntlet. Maybe if someone else snapped the gauntlet, the Avengers wouldn't be able to win. Or maybe he just didn't want to be the one sacrificed, because it is possible that it wouldn't make a difference to the final outcome of the war if another character, other than Tony, snapped the gauntlet. Smart as always. But for the purposes of this video, I think it's worth mentioning Stephen Strange. Doctor Strange was literally the guardian of the Time Stone for a few years. I don't think any other Avenger has as much experience controlling the power of the Infinity Stones as he does. That alone is more than enough to justify his presence on this list. As the Sorcerer Supreme, Doctor Strange was tasked with protecting the fabric of reality. Using the Infinity Stones to confront Thanos perfectly aligns with his duty to safeguard the universe from existential threats. It's possible that he determined Tony Stark's sacrifice to be the most optimal outcome for defeating Thanos and restoring balance to the universe. But in the end, I still think Doctor Strange was a better choice than Tony to snap the gauntlet. Nebula. Before you say anything, I want to mention something that immediately will make Nebula a valid option. Nebula has actually already lifted the Infinity Gauntlet once in the comics. So if that happens in the MCU, I think no one should be surprised. Also, Nebula is literally a robot. If she ended up being destroyed, Tony could simply rebuild her again. But the most important detail is that Nebula also has Thanos' DNA in her body. And as we saw, Thanos was able to withstand the 6 Infinity Stones. So there is definitely a high chance that Nebula would survive the snap. It would be perfect, because she would get her revenge for what Thanos did to her and to Gamora. And at the same time, it would also be like Thanos defeated himself, since she has Thanos' DNA in her body. But in the end, she is just a secondary character, so I get it. The impact wouldn't be the same if Nebula was the one in Tony's place. Captain Marvel. Since they didn't want to use Thor to do the snap, with the justification that his mental health was not good, the most logical option after Thor Or perhaps even before thinking about choosing Thor, wouldn't it be choosing Captain Marvel to do the snap? I mean, she literally was attacked with the power of one of the Infinity Stones and got up like nothing happened. Captain Marvel made Thanos, the guy that every other Avenger was struggling with, feel desperate. Thanos had but didn't even make Captain Marvel move. Carol Danvers literally derives her powers from the Space Stone. This implies that she has some level of affinity with the other Infinity Stones and may be able to harness their power. Captain Marvel demonstrated remarkable resilience to energy-based attacks and extreme conditions. Her enhanced durability suggests she could withstand the immense energy emitted by the Infinity Stones without being overwhelmed or damaged. It almost feels like she was exposed to so many cosmic forces just to prepare her to handle the Infinity Stones. It's like she was made to do the snap. I mean, is there even a better candidate to snap the Infinity Gauntlet than her? What could you want more from her? Wanda. Like Captain Marvel, Wanda also has a deep connection with the Infinity Stones. Her powers literally came from the Mind Stone. Having been exposed to the Mind Stone provided her with insights into the nature of the stones and how to wield their power safely. And despite her having a normal human body like Tony Stark, her capacity of controlling and dealing with supernatural powers is insane. Wanda played with Thanos in Endgame. How could someone think that a character that faced and harmed the Mad Titan alone couldn't easily snap the Infinity Gauntlet? I am almost certain that she wouldn't suffer the damage Tony Stark did. And if Wanda had in Endgame the level of power she is right now, Wanda alone would be enough to deal with Thanos. Not to mention that Wanda would be the perfect character to snap the gauntlet to defeat Thanos, since Thanos was the one who took Vision's life. That way she would immediately get her revenge, and maybe, just maybe, she wouldn't have become a villain in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Ant-Man. No, I'm not crazy. I know that you might be asking me, how is it possible that Ant-Man, a human that the only power he has is changing the size of his body, could possibly be able to withstand the power of the 6 Infinity Stones? As surprising it may seem, he can definitely have the capacity to do it. And the reason he might be able to do it is precisely because of his unique powers. By becoming a giant, he would hold the Infinity Stones almost like they were nothing. They would feel weightless for him. And with this, I'm not saying he wouldn't suffer damage. But in his giant size, the damage wouldn't be enough to be mortal, because the stone would have to damage a body of a size bigger than the Eiffel Tower. Despite Ant-Man being just a regular human like Tony, I have no doubts that being a man with a size bigger than the Eiffel Tower would have advantage over someone of the size of Tony Stark. This one might be a bit controversial, but you have to agree that at least he was an option worth considering. But in the end, I get it. Tony's conclusion was perfect. With all the struggles he had during his journey, he managed to become a true hero. And I'm sure that after Endgame, people started to love him even more. So I'm no longer upset that it's over. I'm happy that it happened. But now it's your turn. Let me know your opinion in the comments. Did I forget some characters? Or there are characters on this list that shouldn't be here? I will read all your comments. I'm sure you know how hard it is to grow a channel on YouTube when you are just starting out. But thanks to 1,700 very special people, the impossible became possible. In just 3 months, I was able to accomplish my goal. Now I have a new goal that will only be possible to achieve with your help. My goal now is to reach 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year. But that goal is impossible to accomplish without your help, because your subscription is what's going to dictate the growth of this channel. Join us and be part of this incredible journey we are on. Without you, the growth of this channel and my goal will be impossible to accomplish. So thank you in advance.